sports class, dude.
Yeah, what are you doing? All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. We were just talking about moms and dads, so there you go. We are jumping in Acts 25. Phil's with us. You got a new, fresh haircut. Phil, what's happening in your life? Tell us your deepest, darkest secret. Go.
Oh, my gosh. So many things going through my mind, but
So
I
many
don't know.
secrets.
This is what we do. What are you excited about, Phil?
I'm excited we're going on vacation, get to spend time with the family. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Phil's going to come back to us in a little bit, but that's good. Kyle, what's new in your world? We got to give the people views of
Views.
what they want. News and views.
News and views. Yeah, just finished, actually, what's the date? 20-something? Yeah. Just finished 11 years of fire service. That's
11 years.
I say that because it's almost
11.
It's almost 11. It's almost halfway to when I can retire, so that's cool. Almost there.
Good thought. Good mindset.
Yeah,
Almost halfway there.
yeah, almost halfway there. But yeah, had a pretty cool opportunity within the department to kind of get on our fitness team, trying to keep our guys healthy physically and trying to work how to figure out how to get the spiritual stuff into that. But been able to pick up some pretty easy overtimes at the academy, just yelling at guys during their fitness tests to try to make them better and not have such a hard time breathing. So working on that with some dudes. But
If I can join that team, I'll join the fire academy, but I don't want to do anything else. I
Yeah,
don't
me
want to
either.
pick up people.
That's where I'm at right
I don't
now.
want to fight a fire. I might want to fight a fire. Save people from a car. I just want to tell people, do better.
yeah, do better.
Run
That's
faster.
kind of where I'm at right now. I wouldn't mind taking a break from the field to just go yell at our guys. But yeah, that's kind of what's new on the fire side. Family's good. Both girls are week 3. Seems like week 3 in school.
I think so.
4. Yeah. A little bit of that first back to school sickness kind of ran through. They both got the sniffles.
What?
Waking up yesterday with some kind of cold or allergy.
Shoot
I
them
don't
with
know.
some Dr. Pepper or something.
Yeah, they're moving and grooving in their 5th grade and 3rd grade years. Cadley's lost her first teeth in 3rd grade. Like, so she's a little behind that curve.
Huh.
We're following that. But now she has no teeth in the front, so she's a toothless wonder. But nothing's growing in.
Teeth,
so
sir.
one's been gone for like 3 months, and it's still. So we got some
Yeah, it just
X-rays
takes
done,
time.
and there's a tooth up there. Just doesn't want to come out. Yeah. But yeah. So if you see her, call her the toothless wonder. That's what we've been calling her. But no, life's good. We're doing good. Moving and grooving.
Love it.
Vacation boy.
Good. I missed you guys this weekend. It was strange.
He didn't.
Throwing things up on the
I am
online.
proud of you. I am proud of you for vacationing.
Yeah, you actually drove somewhere. Good for you.
Yeah, it was fun. It's neat, man. Getting to, it's funny. Like, I think about it, obviously, and there's not a whole lot to talk about in that sense that I haven't already said or discussed with Haley. But like being back in the town that I grew up in, and my friend who I went to go see, he's like, "Do you miss it? Do you want to move back? Like, what does it feel like?" And I'm like, "Just here, you know." Like, obviously, Phoenix is I think a beautiful city. A lot of what seems like lost people there. But
A lot
yeah.
more people who want to live next to the sun.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, but no, it was fun to get away. And was it Sunday? No, Monday. Yesterday morning, getting to watch the sermon, or was it Sunday? No, it was Sunday. Sorry, getting to watch the sermon and
You were
our
tripping at
friends.
us Sunday. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The time difference is such a. Oh man, the time
Jet lag.
difference. Yeah. Like the kids were funny, but getting to talk to my friends about Jesus, and they're asking about the church, and they are more on the our Catholic brothers and sisters on that side of things. And so getting to talk about Christ from a Christian perspective and what that looks like and why and how. And it was interesting a little bit, but yeah, it was nice to get away. And let me tell you, though, I've slept in a lot of Airbnbs, I feel like, and this bed, right? Viewer, if you're watching this, host, whatever, we've already left you an amazing review, but I thought I was sleeping on the floor, a concrete floor.
It was bad?
Horrible.
Uh-oh.
And I was just like...
So how'd you leave him a stellar review if the bed was
Because everything
crap?
else was great. They accommodated us. Like, they bought a pack and play. Like, well, we recommended how they could fix that. But they were
Did you lift up the sheet and it's like, it is a concrete thing?
No, the great host, fun time, but that was the only downfall to our trip. Like, holy smokes. But, so yeah, it's nice to...
And if you know anything about Bryce, don't bother his sleep.
At least, well, I mean, for the most part, the kids slept. Brody's first night was tough. He did not like his room or situation, and it was... So we just put him in a bed and just let him sit there. And he did great on the bed by himself, like a full bed. Yeah, we had did the little bumps with the pillows under the thing, so he wouldn't completely. But then he's waking us up. He slid off the bed on his own in his sleep sack. It was so funny. We hear the door open and we rush because we're like, oh, he fell off, and we go and he's just looking up at the door because they had the nice handles that he could just pull, and so he's out there like bubble guppies. It was kind of cool, but. It was cool seeing my best friend with my kids because I missed him being a dad with his son when he had him 18 years ago because we were still knuckleheads at that time. And so, like, I didn't get to see him be a dad like that. And so getting to see him with my kids was a really cool experience. And being that he's about to have another little baby girl also is really cool to, like, he's in trouble. He's in big time trouble. But it was fun. It was cool. So
Kind of like you with Harper. When she came along, you were in trouble.
It still is. Pray for me, man. That little girl's attitude this trip.
Little softy.
Testing.
Uh-oh.
Very testing. I was like, oh, Lord. So.
Gotta teach them self-control. They need it.
Yeah.
They need it.
So.
Yeah. What's new for me? School started 3 weeks ago. Crystal's teaching rock in school, new curriculum, helping her do that. Help her to be more efficient. My job is efficiency manager. So, because teaching is about one of the only professions that I can think of that you work to work, and then you work at home. You work at work, and you come home and work to work back at work. So it's kind of crazy. Soccer's good. Gideon's in it right now, and then Titus is about to start up. I might have to coach that. So hold on. Yeah. All right. Sorry, this is my kids. They're here. They're getting ready for school. Other than that, trying to take care of my back. Got a nerve ending test here in a couple weeks to see what's wrong with my back more. So
Shock therapy.
he shocked my brain, that's for sure. But yeah, doing good. All right. Well, you can ask more questions if you want online, or not online, not like we're answering them right now. But if you ever want to know, we're just here. We're just regular people. We talked about Acts 25, deserving of death. So
That sounds harsh. You guys have people get up and yell at you or tell you that's mean or not loving or Christ-like?
I was going to, in my message, you can see it right here. It's in red. So it means when I do something in red, it's a crowd interaction. And I was going to say, I was going to do it, but I was like, it's probably not the best thing if
Bryce
I
isn't here to
ask.
take the fall.
Like, oh, Kyle did, yeah. So, I was going to ask the congregation, like, what is a crime worthy of death? And not rhetorical, and give me some back. But I was wondering, is it going to ruffle some people this way? If some people feel this way, like, I don't know if you pay attention to the news, but there's that case right now of that lady and her babies.
No.
I am dumbfounded at humanity. I'll be honest with you. That is.
Yeah.
Kids are crazy, yes, but never to that point. Never. And so it breaks my heart for her. Breaks my heart even more for the people who are supporting her. And I'm like, guys, we got to call, what Scripture says, we got to call evil, evil, and we got to call good, good.
Yep.
There's no blending of that. There's no blending of that. And I don't know. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. Things could get ugly.
You could go and really ask the question, like, for that, right? Like, the evil, and give, not to give credit or what? How am I trying to phrase this? We were talking about this on our drive because I haven't really known or seen much, but I hear people get up in arms about it. I'm like, what happened? Like another chick killed somebody, or like what happened? So Haley's like, no, like she murdered her kids, and I was like differently, like how so, like accidentally, like I don't know, I know little to no context, and she explained it, and I was like, interesting. So like in the argument that could be made on like, so we're gonna empathize or sympathize with her in this aspect over here, but not on the other side either. Like pick and choose how you're gonna choose what value life has,
Yep.
right? And it's like it makes sense, like when we don't know where life comes from and where life resides in, essentially the true and real life, why people are able to sway the way that they are like this, right? And I'm just like, so I hear that and I'm like, you're heartbreaking for people and family and all this, but it's like, gosh, like it makes sense. Like we live in a Jesus-less society, and that's what happens.
Mm-hmm. But
Right?
I think it's funny because like I was talking about a class I was taking now, and just like there's no context. You can be whatever you want, whatever else, and then we talk about this, like what's good and what's evil, and it's because we've pushed away the definition giver, but yet we want to make our own definitions.
But even then, right? Like I was watching, there was a basketball game this weekend where a gentleman was at a basketball game and got escorted out because he couldn't do what he wanted. He could stand there and wear the clothing he wanted. There was a mom and a daughter last week who was almost escorted out of a game. Women, mind you, two women escorted out of a game because of the choices of what they chose to wear, right? So it's like,
It's almost a limiting of freedom of speech at that point.
well, not only that, but it's like, well, what can and can't be done, right? Hold on, we're sitting here saying that everything's applicable and acceptable, except. So I'm like, hold on, like, where's the line here? Where's the line in the sand? So, yeah, the world is redunculous.
Yeah, which is a weird thing because it connects back to this. I mean, he's on trial for sharing the gospel, which is a great thing inside Christianity. For those who aren't Christian, they're kind of like, they may say like, shut up with your views, don't bring that around here. But then there's indoctrination of what they believe, and that's widely not accepted, but approved, maybe. It's like, that's crazy to me. Tolerate one thing, whatever. What do you guys think the definition of tolerate is? Because I think it definitely applies to the message. But how would you describe that?
Accepting to a certain point, accepting to a certain limit or timeline.
Okay. Does accept mean approve of?
No. I think that is what the world today says tolerate is. Like if you don't accept what I believe, you're not tolerant.
Okay. So they see it as an
that's how they want
accepting.
to spin that word of tolerant. But I think that the tolerant to its truest definition is I can accept that you believe that, but I don't have to accept that that is the truth.
Yeah.
And I don't have to believe what you believe to be true.
Neither conform to it either.
Or conform to it. But I can be in the same space with you and not hate you or look less on you as God did create you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to accept that choice that God gave you of that free will to choose whatever you want to believe is true or whatever the situation is. But in no way, shape, or form do I have to show approval and bend the knee to what you're asking me to tolerate.
Right.
And I think you can even be tolerant with, at the same time, pushing back, like you're saying, okay, well, this is what I believe the truth, and here's why. But people think tolerance means you just sit there, shut up, and don't say anything.
You don't get to have a voice to what you believe, but you need to accept what I believe.
Yep.
And what is that today in today's society? Like, what is the biggest flex on that? Like, who's flexing that ideology the biggest in today's culture? I think it's Islam. Like
In the religion world?
Yeah, and even political. I think they're using our legal system to push that heavily.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was reading your notes in this, and I was like, I couldn't help but think, like, my mind went there of, like, extreme Islam, of, like, and not even extreme or radical, just basic, I guess you could say. Like, if I was of the Muslim faith, like, And you could see like how this is played out for them and how they do so in their defense, like relatively well to some degree. And they're doing it. And they're like, come on, Christian. Like other faiths are doing this. Other faiths are believing in this. Other faiths are implementing and utilizing and leveraging like the loopholes, you could say, to get their stuff out there.
Yeah.
Right? And to get you to have to conform and tolerate and accept it to some degree.
Yeah. And I think
what I
that's a dangerous probably cause or stance or foundation to stand on is, people who aren't Christian, they'll say, well, this nation wasn't founded on Christian values.
Or it doesn't affect me.
Then what was it founded on? Because if it's founded on whatever anyone wants, then you have to accept the Sharia law and everything coming in, because you don't claim that we have a set definite definition of what we believe in, where we go, and all that stuff.
And that's being leveraged.
And I think that's the crazy side of it. But I don't know. Wrong is wrong and right is right. And I think if there are Christians out there who think that Islam is not militant, then you've never actually read the Quran. So
or turned on news
or any of the hadiths or anything like that. Like, am I saying there's not good stuff in there? No, Satan masquerades himself as an angel of light. So he's not going to come right out with, horns and all that stuff. He's going to come in like nice and shiny and pretty and accepting and blah, blah, blah. And then he'll flip it on you.
Well, I think the funny thing that what people say is like, well, Islam's the fastest growing religion in the world. And it's a
Bye, guys.
verifiable lie where it's not the fastest growing religion in the world. It's the fastest growing enforced religion in the world, because like you're saying, there's some who are drawn in by the lies and the prettiness of what they might see in it, but the vast majority is being enforced. It's not.
Yeah, because because one of them is giving alms, right? Mm-hmm. One of their main pillars. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. Being generous to people who don't have any. But it's the gateway to get you in. If you can do this, but then you got to do all these things too. And so I think that's and I have Muslim friends, and most of them, honestly, they're like, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I'm not practicing. Like, I'm not
cultural.
I'm not that type of Muslim. And I'm like, wait, what is that type of Muslim that you're not there? Or, whatever it might be. Maybe they got fed up with it. But I think it is a cultural, where you grew up and things like that. It's just wild. A thought I had is, it's probably more of a discipleship than anything, is that question I asked is that if we say we're willing to die for Jesus, are we courageous enough to live for him as well? Maybe you guys can share where or what that looks like. What does actually living for Christ, if you were to take a mold of a human and say, this human made from dirt, God breathed air into him, boom, what would we see that person doing? Because I think we get too far down the road with that, we indoctrinated by all kinds of things, that we don't actually just return to the basic. What does it mean to live for him? Because I think Paul was on a wonderful display, but I don't know if you guys could add anything. Does that question make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had a great conversation at our community group last night about this, and the question was posed, like, is that the goal of a Christian, is to get to a point where you would be willing to die? Like that you like.
Good question.
You would be willing to die for the sake of the Lord, or the sake of proclaiming he is your king. Is that the goal? Because that's what we see. The disciples all these guys end up getting murdered. And do you think they were like excited that was happening? Like, do you think that they were okay with where they were at in their life, being murdered for the sake of Christ? And it spun back around to, that didn't just happen overnight. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a lifetime, or in that seat where they were in their life of being obedient to Christ and living for Christ. Mm-hmm. And so to say you would die for Christ, I think you have to have been experiencing living for him to understand that death don't matter no more. Mm-hmm. Like for me to, Philippians 1:20, for me to live is for Christ, to die is to gain. All we do is win. Either I'm going to live for Christ here on this side of heaven, or you're going to kill me, or I'm going to die and you're going to send me home to see him. Like, that's the perspective, I think, as a discipleship moment, that I almost think, like, take away dying for Christ. Like, if you weren't living for him, I'm going to probably put money on it that in that push come to shove, you're not going to be willing to die.
Yeah, I think that's the reality of it.
If he hasn't captivated your heart and your mind and your life to the point of my life needs to change for him, I'm definitely not going to give it up when the push comes to shove to lose my life.
So are you saying like if Jesus is just a weekend thing, you don't think that person would? I
don't think you're captivated by him enough to die for him. And
I wholeheartedly agree.
I would take that to your marriage too. If you're not pursuing your spouse and how you love them, how you serve them, how you replicate what Christ has done for you to them. I mean, we say we would die for our loved ones, but if you spend one day with him, going back to a Christian, if you go to church for an hour and a half on Sunday and that's what you call your relationship,
good luck.
Yeah. The rest of your week's all about you. So when push comes to shove, why would you think that you would take?
Yeah, and how is that lordship at all?
Yeah,
and
I'll play the other side of the coin. Like, why would you die for that? You got how many hours a week that's all about you?
No,
I would put money on that. You're going to choose you, not what you've been called to do, in loving and sacrificing for the Lord.
Because at that point, who are you worshiping? Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, you're not much of your life shows that you're sacrificing anything for the kingdom.
Yeah.
So why would you offer yourself?
Yeah, you seem insane at that point, right? Like you would die for something that you don't spend a lot of time with.
Yeah.
It's like me going to my neighbor 2 houses down who I don't know, up the block or whatever, and like, I'm going to die for you.
I don't even know you.
Why?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I think that's what's beautiful about Christ is that he does fully know us. And what did he do for us? He sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
I think there's a cool spin to this, though, in the sense, because a lot of people are like to your point of like, the disciples died, right? And it's like, I think on this side of the hemisphere for us, like, I don't think we'll ever be in the same position that these guys were, right? Like they were persecuted. We have laws and stuff that protect us from ever being persecuted like that to that degree, right? So it's like right now, again, good catch there, right? What does that mean in that sense? Then it's like, okay, if we say we're willing to die for him, what is living for him like? What does dying in that sense look like, right? And our marriages, our parenting, right? How we are in the workplace, dying to ourselves.
Yes.
And I think like that's an experience that like we get to emphasize on of like, what does that look like? What does dying to yourself look like? Not saying the thing that your flesh wants to say, not giving in, right? I think to help give the listeners or anyone who watches like practical ideas of like, okay, I may never be physically put in a position to be killed, murdered for my faith, but we have everyday opportunities to die to ourselves and kill our flesh in responding in a way that we normally wouldn't have, right? That the Holy Spirit gets to come in and empower us to say, I got you. Don't do that, right? And I think it is maybe a little weaker than what these guys had to then, right? But again, I don't foresee us anytime soon yet anyways, ever being put in a position right here in the States of facing death or that kind of persecution, right? So it's like, well, that's kind of extreme. Well, your day-to-day choices could be extreme also, right? We talk about purity all the time. How are you dying to yourself in that sense and living above reproach and integrity, right? How are you loving others like you love yourself, back to like that, right? Like, okay, like we do good at that to some degree and possibly even poor at some points. How are we doing that?
Yep.
And so speaking to that, because I think a lot of people are like, "Well, I must have to go to Africa and able to really live this out." No, not entirely. You know what I mean? Like, kill yourself.
Yeah. Again, that's the thing. I'm willing to go die over there, but I'm not going to do it right here. That's a crazy, crazy thing. And I just think it's like the evidence of a life of believer. Is there enough evidence to convict you of it?
Yeah.
Well, like even that question, like I'm not saying it's a bad question, but like when I think of it, it's kind of like the apex of a movie, like where it builds up and you're like, oh, like this is the pinnacle of what happens. And you're like, oh, if someone pointed a gun in my head, I'd do this. But it's like we make that, and it's a good question. Like I'm trying to phrase this in a way where it's like, yeah, that's a good question because it has happened and there's those situations. But that's like what you're talking about. what's harder? Dying in a moment, if someone asks you, oh, do you worship God? Do you believe in God? Or those daily sacrifices that work, because God calls us to be living sacrifices. Like, it's easier to die in a moment than it is to live a life of dying to yourself.
In obedience.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah, it's not normative,
Yeah.
is what we see, is what kind of what I hear you say. Yeah, and I think, again, we go back to the question, what is normative to live for Christ? What would you say that is? What would you say this creature who just got built, who just got born, what would they be doing?
Daily time with the Lord, right? First and foremost, those first daily offerings, I guess you could say, in obedience, right? Not out of mere sacrifice. And then taking that and going and allowing that fruit to be enjoyed and engaged with others, right? And sharing that. Just, can I tell you what I've experienced and been filled with, right? And filling others up and helping them see, right? And again, I think of parenting. Right? Parenting and marriage. Like, I just don't understand why anybody else who doesn't believe in Jesus would have kids or get married. Like, I am at a point, like, what is the purpose? Why are you having kids? Right? Like, in all honesty, like, what? It's a crazy aspect to think of, like, creating life and this life you being responsible for. And it makes sense why so many people abandon their children, right? And do crazy things
Because they're selfish.
Right?
Yeah.
Selfish, possessed, right? What's the devil, right? And just wanting to just, maybe there's more credit there than needed. We're just selfish and sinners. But I'm like, it doesn't make sense, because God uses this in such a way, like, as a father to a child, that we get to replicate in our children. And in our marriage, we get to amplify to other marriages and the unity. I'm like,
No.
you know, and so circling back, going and sharing that, going and saying, how did you, this is how I did it. What are your thoughts? And just growing in them. Like, you're good at, I noticed this. And then you wonder what comes of that? Oh, the church, right? And his body. Right. And every individual realizing that it's not just all mouths and not just all hands and not just all feet and not just all butts and not a lot of butts, but you know what I mean? And that's how I envision, like, to answer your question, like, how that formulates, right? And comes to, and then we're all just like, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's a good question. What's next? We could all ask everybody, what's next in your walk?
Yeah.
What's next in your walk to be faithful?
That's what I think all of that is summed up to. Is, I say it a lot, and that's kind of my daily quote to myself, is just be found faithful.
Yeah.
As I walk into the CrossFit gym, be found faithful.
Yeah.
That reminds me to protect my eyes and what I'm seeing. That reminds me to be intentional with the conversations I'm having, directional, looking for the next opportunity to be faithful to the gospel. And it's just that heart posture of, in the book we're reading for our community group, it paints this illustration of every single person is going to, in their life, their whole day, everything they think, everything they do, everything they say is going to be broadcast on TV at 6:30, and the whole world gets to watch your whole day.
Yeah.
And it puts in that perspective. But as a Christian, if you believe in who God is, that is your life. It is on display to the creator of the universe. And if we lived our lives in that way, how would your day have changed?
Yeah.
No one was going to be broadcast at the end of the day. And I felt myself like kind of like a pressure of that, but it's more of a freeing aspect of, like, I just got to be faithful to him and I'm good. Okay. Like,
Yeah. I don't have to fear punishment if I'm walking.
Captive. Temptation, it's going to be there, but do I act on it? Do I respond on it?
Yep.
Like, all those perspectives of, as we talk about, if we were to make the perfect Christian or make this creature that is submissive and surrendered to Christ, it's the heart posture of, I just want to be found faithful. If he does come back right now, what's he going to find me doing? Who's he going to find me talking to? What is he going to find me talking about? And man, I think if we truly lived our days that way, the church would be.
Well, I think that you're bringing up a circumstance or a word called accountability, right? I have to bring my account.
Say that.
I have to bring my account to the table. So it's you guys can ask me any question you want at that point. But what I'm responsible for is my response, and I got to bring this to it. So if Phil's an expert in whatever, in shooting, and I show up and I know that I'm coming to his class or whatever, I better be ready with all the things that I know I should be doing. He's probably going to ask me, did you do any shooting this week? No. Did you clean your gun at least? No. Did you buy more bullets? No. Like, that's shameful, right? That hurts. But that shame is only on me. I'm putting that self on. If I would have shown up and like, Phil, bring your account. I went to the range 3 times this week. I bought some new bullets. They explode. They're really cool, right? I cleaned my gun 14 times because I'm OCD or whatever. I looked at pictures of guns. I thought about guns. I practiced. I dry fired into this little target I have. It was awesome. I think Phil would go, that's great, man. Go to the range. Or, you know what? You'd put in a lot of work this week. Take the day off. That's how I think it works in Christianity, is like, Christ, I did those things that you told me to do. And he's like, well done.
And let's be frank, right? Like in Christianity, like we're talking purity, blamelessness, accountability.
You could talk anything. Anything.
We're talking, right, being in the Word, right? We see a lot of shame when we're like, have you been spending time in your Word? Okay, you haven't been good, but you could start now and start today.
Yeah, today's
you know
a new day.
I mean? And so it's like that accountability, that transparency aspect of like being accountable to someone, for someone in that sense.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think Christians really.
So here's the thing, the statement, right? You are innocent until proven guilty. The only person who can prove you guilty is yourself. Right?
Unless the facts are heavy.
In your actions. Well, again, the facts wouldn't be there unless yourself did it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think about that all the time is, I am innocent. Like, if you have some charge against me for being a knucklehead, then you bring it. Right? And so this is what they're doing. They're saying, well, Paul did all these things. Well, obviously we know that he talks about himself later. He's like, I didn't cause a riot. I didn't cause an uprising. I didn't cause any of these things. These guys are lying to you. And obviously 2 governors and now a king is like, I don't think he's deserving of death. I think you guys are just idiots. And you guys don't know how to talk about your own faith. You say you guys
and he's
follow.
proving a point.
You guys say you follow this guy that he says he's following as well, or this God, and he says he follows this God who's now in the flesh, but you guys don't agree together. This is not us. This is on you guys. And I just think that's I don't know. You don't have to have a ready defense for yourself if all you're doing is living faithfully, blamelessly, upright. I don't know what other thoughts you guys have. I have one more that I hope hit people right in the chest, and it was in reference to unbelievers speaking about Jesus because of your account. But I don't know wherever you guys want to go. I know we got short time.
This might send us down a different tangent, but in the message, I couldn't help but not think of Jesus on trial. Mm-hmm. And to think, like, in that moment when Paul's on trial, does he ever have that connection? Like,
oh yeah,
dang, I'm doing what Jesus, like, you accused Jesus, and Jesus said, say what you got to say. And he stood there with his mouth shut and just, and let them say all these lies that, again, bring your case against me. All of it's not true.
Yeah.
Everything that's presented. I just wonder in those moments, did Paul ever have like this is cool. I'm being blamed for stuff I didn't do. Jesus was. All right, I'm connected to him more. Like,
well, you could probably say that.
Yeah.
I think it's theologically probably true to say that, because he says it is not only for us to take in with all his glory and his resurrection, but to also suffer with him.
Yeah.
So I think you're right on. I would say that.
It's just that tied to them both being falsely accused. And
I don't know, I think kind of the tangent that I want to go off on is, who are they being accused by? Mm-hmm. It's religious people.
Yeah.
Religious people. But, and then you look, like you go further down the rabbit hole, it's like, they claim to know, kind of going to your point, they claim to know the Bible. They claim to know, what this scripture
be careful here, Phil. Be careful.
But it's like, wait a minute. There were so many people who actually, like you're talking about, faithful people who were in the Word, who knew what the what prophecy was and all this other stuff, and they were expecting Jesus. But the people who were weekend warriors,
power and authority,
were the ones who were like, nope, you're not who that is. It's because they didn't know what the Word of God said. They weren't expecting. They weren't there. And Jesus even like on the whole of Israel, even said, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, if only you were,
Gather you like
I would have gathered you like hens, like a chicks and gathered her hens, or hens gather her chicks." God held them responsible, and it's like, this is what you're supposed to be doing, but they weren't.
I like what you said. I've never heard weekend warriors applied to Christianity, but that
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
That's
I'm
all they are.
gonna steal that. I'm gonna start saying that. Any thoughts, you?
You had just said something of spreading of Jesus by people who don't believe in him. And I just, again, for me, being back in my hometown, seeing the people I love a lot and admire, like looking back and how God used them for me, right? And I think I could stand confidently, and if they're watching this, like I think they would agree. And if you don't, let's have a conversation. But I don't think they're believers in Jesus Christ, right? But it's funny how Christ used them to love and shelter and harbor and bring me through to where I'm at today, And I just think it's funny how whether or not how people acknowledge or show any type of reverence or anything in that regard, like God will use people regardless.
Yeah.
Right. And whether you allow him to use you, I think we've said this before recently, like allow him to use you willingly or forcefully, like his will be done. Right. And I just think back and I'm just like, God's so cool. Like again, going back and sharing these stories and telling Haley all these things, she's like, wow, you were really stupid. Like God really did have a bigger plan for you.
We got
that tour.
Yeah, we got
little bit,
we got the Bryce
right?
tour in Phoenix.
And
That's where I shot a guy, right?
no,
We don't talk
but
about
Sorry,
I'm like,
we'll edit that out.
Send that out to us.
no. So just, I think that's really cool, and it allows people who may not know, right? And we see that in Scripture too, right? Where Jesus like, why? How do you think you're here? How do you think you got here, right? And so just the power of God's hand over everything is really neat.
It's good. Good. Well, we hope you have some humility this week. That you eat the pie, that it doesn't get shoved in your face. And what I mean by that is we're no one, right? We're just tools in the hand of the tool.
Tools and fools.
Yeah, tools and fools in the hand of the great carpenter. So be used this week, and at any point be ready to have a reason for the hope that you have, and do it with confidence and boldness because Christ did. And then you have other cats who aren't Christ, who walked with him. That show you that it's possible. So I'm excited about next week. We'll talk about how to share the gospel with anyone and everyone. And Paul uses his story. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you. Anything else? All right. Hagwell. Have a great week of worship. We'll see you on Sunday.